morning, everyone, and welcome to AmericanScouser's morning coffee or tea with AmericanScouser. It has been a truly reckless Friday. Yes, it's rough. Bunch of technical difficulties. I'll take the hit on this one. Pooh John has been waiting for me. We're hoping
Yeah.
Cozzy will be able to join us later on as well. Anan is actually on the run after his FIFA beating. I'm assuming he's hiding, so he's not here today. But John is with us, holding the fort on until I showed up. What's happening?
Yeah, I didn't want to come in. I know it's a reckless Friday, but I didn't want to go in and talk my ass off until I ran out of stuff to say. Make it sure that it's a really reckless Friday and disappoint all the viewers here. So yeah, I just held down the fort, waited here. But hey, after a few technical difficulties, we're back in business. So appreciate you waiting, boys. We're back, reckless Friday, people.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about so the helicopter thing is gone, so that's going well. But I basically finally got the new desktop, and yeah, you will be amazed. Especially, I don't know, I've had the old desktop for quite some time. I try to get something semi-high end so it lasts a long time and stuff. So got this guy in. I mean, you'll be amazed the difficulties and the different curveballs that are thrown at you as you change stuff. You got to use transferring the information, the files, passwords is just like I finally got the camera to work last night. I was like, oh, we're all good. This morning, camera not cooperating. And then I put the camera in, it says, how about these new settings? And I'm like, nah, let's stick with the old settings. So it has been quiet, reckless over here. But let's get to, like I say, Anan is not with us, nursing his FIFA injuries, we assume. Thiago is out, Sobosla is out, so Anan is out by default, is probably what happens. Yes, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Now, for a second, I was like, this might not be happening. So I was like, John, you're going to have to make things happen. And then, Yati's got everything set up and good to go. And everybody is back with us. So some stuff to talk about from the press conference. So we'll probably start with that. The injury front, obviously, Klopp is like, we're not thinking about the final and stuff. I kind of don't expect him to talk about the final now, especially. I mean, I find this as a really, really tricky fixture, to be honest with you. And I did when City was playing them, and it was tricky for them. So, anyway, let's go to the injury fronts. Szoboszlai looks like he's closer than Trent. Trent is definitely out for the final, and sounds like a couple of weeks after that. You guys kind of know my stance on that ordeal, but then he did poo-poo a little bit about. He said something about forcing people back. I don't think we talked about this, right? Yeah. I don't see it as forcing it back, but maybe rolling the dice a little bit, you think? I mean, it's kind of like weird that everybody who came back from injury is back injured again instantly.
Well, the thing with Trent is he played practically the full, or almost the full game. Oh, wait, no, he played a half because we didn't actually have a true right back in there. Gomez had the flu. Bradley had to deal with his dad's passing. So maybe that was like a whole necessity thing, and obviously it didn't work out. This doesn't seem like the staff, the injury staff, or Klopp. It doesn't seem like Klopp's staff isn't as gung-ho anymore in terms of throwing players back in, especially what happened a few years ago when we didn't have any CBs, and with Matip and Gomez being brought back and then getting injured, re-injured again. It's a risk that we rarely take. So I actually do believe that the club acted in good faith bringing those guys back. I think they were genuinely fit. I think there was just very poor luck with it, honestly. But it is what it is. We have to deal with it, as every club does. Obviously it's a big blow, but yeah, we just got to deal with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It just felt odd that we are normally overly careful with it, if anything else. I mean, obviously, Thiago, you can't just be he was Thiago because he's been out for 8 years. But yeah, I mean, Anan, Trent, like you said, is out of necessity. But Szoboszlai, yeah, I mean, that was perhaps rushed back. And Serzi might bright too, bring themselves back so they can play in the final. That's fair. We know it means a lot to these guys. We saw Thiago crying like a couple of years ago when he couldn't play. He got injured in the warm-up and stuff like that. So I understand that they do want to be out there, and they know that's not going to be their first game back. Having said that, they could have, set out another week and come back now, or set out the Arsenal game and come back last week and stuff like that. So it wasn't like, I understand that part of it in terms of a possibility, but it wasn't like right the game right before the fight.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. In hindsight, it's a very poor decision. If this is really the case, right? For all we know, they didn't force themselves back, and the player and the coaching staff and training staff genuinely deemed them fit to play, which I really
Yeah.
think is what happened. Because sometimes they're just unfortunate, right? And I think they were just unfortunate here. And again, it's bad. It's a blow, but we just have to deal with it as every other team does. So.
Yeah, like I say, it's we don't know you're right. They might be like, yeah, you guys are good to go, so they just go out there and do their thing, and before you know it, it's like these muscle injuries,
Yeah.
and that's the only thing I worry about is this. So he says, so last part, the only player against that playing haven't come back from injury. He is in training, so therefore, Klopp says because he's in training, he is in contention. But the way
Mm.
he said that, I almost take it as we probably won't see Mo at all.
Yeah, at best off the bench, right? Like
Yeah,
I've seen shouts to start him, but as you kind of hit on to start the show, Brentford away stuff. Like no matter how you shape it or whatever, there's a reason why we got our asses handed to us 3-1 last year, and the year before we just drew at Brentford away.
yeah,
So they are a tough team to go and play against, especially with an Ivan Toney back. The wise choice here would be kind of go with what was working over the last month or so without Salah, and then if anything is if we're caught in a draw or we need to chase the game, bring him in for the last 20. Don't risk him. Like we have enough game changers, injured on the sidelines, so we can't risk another. Uh, Cersei said he meant for the final. Yeah, that's probably a better
yeah.
shout. But there are shouts on social media for him to outright start tomorrow, which I think is, on brand
Reckless.
reckless. So yeah, very reckless.
Yeah, I agree to that. But because of that, maybe we will see him like 15, 20 minutes
Yeah,
at
for
the
sure.
end, just to get a run out, or I
Mm.
mean, assuming things are going well, kind of an ordeal. They do defend well. I mean, Brentford is very dangerous at set pieces.
The counters
They
as well.
Yeah, they have the players to earn those set pieces, and that's the thing. That's one thing like Klopp was talking about in the press conference about how like Tony can bring the ball down, or if you act too much, you can maybe like give him the foul, give him the set piece, and that's what Brentford really wants. So it's a
It's
hard team to play against.
Yeah, it's like we're talking about Trent, Szoboszlai, and possibly Salah not playing. I think Konate is a massive loss here. Like
He's
when
back, isn't he?
he's back. How long has he been banned? Just one game?
Just one game. I think
Oh, okay, that's
if
my
it's
mistake.
a regular red, it's just one game. If it's a
That's my
direct
mistake.
red, which his
Yeah.
was like from the second yellow, so he's back. I mean, we're assuming he's
Whew,
going to
I
start
hope so. Yeah, because
probably with Bradley, I assume. So
mm,
that's the okay. A couple of things to get to there. So when he talks about Gomez, uh, he says when I arrived, he played left back, which I do not remember that, to be honest with you. Oddly, but anyway, I must have like blocked that period in my head.
yeah,
He's a
same.
center back. He can play left back. Obviously, can play right back. Now he plays the role either side, and is a really good example of versatility and development.
Mm.
So it's super helpful, and we'll always find arguments over a position for a player. We have to make a decision for the team on the day. Even with all the injuries we have had, we have been able to sort it. The boys have had rhythm as they have played games. There's still a long way to go. How do you read that? Ryan says, I'm actually excited to see Bradley again. Should Ryan be excited, or is it going to be Gomez with his experience against Brentford?
So I would say Gomez, but I would have Gomez for Robertson's position. I like how defensively, our Arsenal game excluded, we were awful there. But pre-Arsenal game, I liked how defensively solid we looked with Bradley at right back and Gomez at left back. Because, like, let's be real, when we beat Burnley last weekend, we didn't look as defensively solid with Robertson as the left back. I don't know if it's him it's probably rust. He takes a bit to get back into game speed and everything, which is completely understandable. But this is a team that can counter us and counter us good, very physical as well. That 3-1 loss last year was kind of one of the rare instances where I think I've seen a Klopp team get beat physically in terms of strength, speed, and like desire
Yeah.
to get to the ball. So I think we need to be defensively solid first and foremost, and then worry about everything else later, if that makes sense. Very practical standpoint, which I got from my time here at American Scouser. So I'm gonna go play it safe. I'm gonna play it safe. Bradley right back for me, but Gomez left back.
Yeah, but then aren't you kind of giving away physicality on the right hand side with Bradley being the skinny kid?
I trust him because I trust him more because he's in a better run of form than Robbo coming back from the cold, who's still a little who's still a little off the pace. Like he's getting there, but he's still a little off. I just think that it's better to risk Robbo against Luton Town in the midweek game rather than this one against Brentford, if that makes sense.
See, I was going the other way. I know what you mean. I would have gone the other way. Sparky says Gomez right, Robo left. That's actually what I'm going with, and I'm thinking Bradley against Luton probably. This I feel like he will play it safer. And one thing that Gomez brings, I mean, we just talked about like Brentford's set pieces. Gomez brings you more heights and stuff like that on set pieces compared to Bradley. So it might be a better team to use against. Better player to use against Brentford. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like Ryan, I'm excited to see Bradley back again because I think not only because I want to see more of Bradley or anything like that. It's more like I really think it helps our gameplay overall. We play a lot better, and I think in that sense, Bradley being there would have really helped Robertson. That's the flip side of me wanting Gomez. Is I think the advantage is when you have Bradley there and he's out wide, that helps the left hand side. I think our left hand side has struggled ever since we did this inverted thing too. It doesn't help anyone, hurts everyone, people. So yeah, that's why I feel like if you have Bradley out wide as an option, it really stretches the defense and enables Robertson to go as well.
The Niners darkness came back again.
Back, yes. Here's another interesting one, and I did not hear the question on this one. I'm assuming they're talking about him. The question must have been about him being a super sub, and for Harvey. And he talks about Harvey saying like you forget how old he is. Young players go through different moments in early days of their career, flying, not flying, working hard. Not him, but all young players in general. So it's almost like he said, working hard, not working hard, and then he stopped himself and said, well, not him, but all young players in general, like they go through the motions, basically, is what he's trying to say, I think. Has been incredibly important. I'm sure he knows that. He probably wishes to have started when he's young. It's not like he'll be a super sub for the rest of his career. Does that kind of tell you? But for the time being, he is the super sub.
Yeah. I think our best lineup, unfortunately, has Harvey coming off the bench, but it's not a bad option to have, and he can occasionally start games, here and there. And there was a genuine argument to be made during that Christmas period when Szoboszlai was, stinking up the place, that Harvey should have taken up his spot. So, like Klopp said, he's still young, and with young players, they go through these patches where things aren't working for them. But if we're taking into account the Brentford game, the Burnley game, he came off the bench and we played better immediately, and that looked like the Harvey of old. Earlier this season. Not trying not to jinx it too much, but hopefully it's the start of him trying to find that form again. Because with Szoboszlai out, I would assume we'd start Endo at the 6, McAllister on the right side, and Jones in the left. Probably our best midfield with Szoboszlai out. So Harvey coming in to kind of raise energy levels if things aren't working out is going to be critical in this period, considering we have to get results left and right with City trying to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan says love Harvey and Jota coming off the bench as tagging options, and I think
Jota starts.
Jota starts for you.
Yeah,
Who's sitting?
Sorry,
Nunez is sitting.
Nunez is sitting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch! Good thing Anan isn't here today.
Yeah,
That could have gotten ugly. Yeah.
I had Salah, Jota, and Nunez as my first choice, but with Diaz's form kind of coming back as the only true left winger in this squad, it's a no-brainer for me.
So I guess here's my question: like we consider and most consider, Harvey as right now the sub. I would argue that especially like instead of Gravenberg, he probably should have gotten the nod.
Yeah.
What do you think, or why do you think he doesn't get the nod? Is it just the physicality? Because I mean, I look at their games, and I don't like what is it
Hmm.
that sets like Soboslai above him, or aside from the price tag, if you're not looking at the price tag and the fact that they came with a lot higher money, like Gravenberg and Soboslai, what is it that sets Harvey, I guess, slightly below them? I know he talks about age,
Hmm.
but he's more familiar with the system, even though he's younger. He's been within the system, and you can kind of tell that he knows the system better than Soboslai and Gravenberg and stuff like that. So, what is it? Just physicality, or do you see something else that, this is something that he has to do better?
I think his energy levels. Like, there's a reason why he's looked so good coming in, 60th, 70th, when
Okay.
players' legs are dropping. Like, Harvey's a very energetic player. Like, he's everywhere at once. And sometimes, it kind of catches teams off guard how energetic he is while they're kind of going down. It's the natural course. We're all humans. We get tired. So seeing Harvey there pressing, winning the ball, picking out those passes isn't exactly a good thing to have. So I think that's advantageous to him in a sense that he's not the most physical, he's not the fastest. So if he goes up against players who are starting off the game, who have the energy levels, are at 100, who are ready to, deal with whatever he's ready to throw at them, he might struggle a little bit because they can match him at his best trait, which is energy, considering the game
Yeah.
just started, if that makes sense.
So you're saying basically he just can't stretch it to 90 minutes.
I think so. Like,
Okay.
I think he can. It's just that teams have an easier time to deal with him if he starts the game. Like, sure, he might catch you off guard first 5-10 with how energetic he is, but the fact that these teams aren't tired, that they can change on the fly, it's still early. They can figure it out, I feel. Whereas to answer your question about Szoboszlai, he's pretty unpredictable. He's more unpredictable than Harvey, at least. He can deliver balls left and right.
Yeah.
He can drive forward, pop a shot there. Although the fact that he always shoots is getting predictable, mind you, but still, he's also very young. So that's what I think Szoboszlai has over Harvey
Yeah,
at
I
this
think
point.
Soboslai is probably easier to see, right? Because I
Yeah.
think he has the speed over Harvey as well. So he has the
Hmm.
physicality. I don't know between Gravenberg. I mean, we probably have not seen enough of him. He's just lankier, so he might just look faster because he's lankier. But you're probably onto something there. Maybe the intensity he brings, or the
Hmm.
intensity he needs to bring to be effective, he can only do it in a 20-minute, 30 minutes sample size and cannot carry it across like 60 to 90 minutes. So that, I mean, that could very well be not just physicality, but maybe to kind of offset the lack of physicality. Like he has to have that energy level to offset the height and what you want to call it, strength. And so he has to
It's
do that
yeah.
running. Right.
It's why Nunez off the bench arguments are founded.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan and Sparky's going here. Jota is the best sub we have, but I think Jota's link up play has gotten so good that we need to have him. Like, when he knits the passes here and there, and this period without Salah showed that he's developing his all around game very well. Like, I always say, is that Jota there or Firmino? The way he knits the passes there to Diaz or Nunez at
Yeah.
times. So, in terms of raising the energy levels, I think Nunez is a better sub to have off the bench than Jota, considering that we know that's his best trait as an attacker, which is to cause chaos and cause disruption to opposing back lines with his super energy. And everyone's going to be split on this, but the fact that we're having this conversation is good news. We have a lot of options
Yeah.
to choose from. So,
I think that's a good point that Jota has been probably the guy that brings the front three together while Mo is gone.
mhm.
Like you got a lot of the creativity from Mo's side, like when he's isolated out wide. I think, yes, Marcus says can never. I mean, that the problem is I don't think we can ever compare
Yeah,
anybody
I
with
mean,
Bobby. We're kind of missing that, and that's why we always called him a unicorn. I think it's going to be the closest thing to, or at least somebody to bring the front three together and get more like interplay going. I mean, when we had the, like Mo Mane, Bobby was really still the key piece to that in terms of bringing them together, creating the space, moving around and stuff like that. So, but I do agree with this point that Jota can come in and make an
yeah,
impact immediately, but so can
yeah.
Nunez.
So can Nunez.
That's the only other guy that probably not. We're seeing that Gakpo can come in. He might not create an impact himself, but I think it enables Klopp to make some tactical changes.
Yep, yep.
And he can come from the midfield and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So he has that versatility that you can bring him off the bench, and it doesn't have to be a 1-for-1 substitution. You can now suddenly go almost like four up top without going four up top, having four attackers on the pitch. So I would love to hear what like people think about the whole Harvey thing, though. Like what they would want to see from Harvey before they put Harvey ahead of all the others, kind of thing. Because that's kind of like interesting to me, because we do see some players. We talked about this, right? Some players are better coming off the bench, and I think your point is really good. I think it might be, you might have nailed it right on the head, that his like energy levels, not being able to sustain that for a long time, is why he's not there. Sparky says Nunez has energy for 90 minutes, which yes, but
Where does he put it?
well,
Right,
yeah, that's one.
he can put it towards like throwing a tantrum or something. So that's a waste of energy,
Yeah,
right?
can you please stop that, man? I really love his energy and I
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
really
for
love his
sure.
enthusiasm, but the stupid yellow cards. And I was saying this in Discord last week. Like, he could have, I'd rather have you score, take your shirt off, get the stupid yellow card that way, as opposed to just kicking the ball away, like flailing your arms and stuff like that. Just freaking play. I feel like he kind of is constantly reinforcing. If I'm a defender, okay, let's put it this way. And if there are defenders in the audience, they'll know that. If I know what there's a guy like that out there that can earn a yellow really, really cheap, I'm going at his ass all game. And I am getting in his head to get him that yellow, because it seems like it's too freaking easy to get in his head and frustrate him and get him a yellow. And once he gets a yellow, I always worry about Nunez. Some players I don't worry as much about when they have a yellow. I feel like, they can kind of control their tackles and stuff like that, not do anything silly. But with him, I worry because the way he goes in full speed. So maybe not intentional, but he can make a rash challenge because he couldn't slow himself down and earn a red just out of like nothing. And that's what I worry about. I wish he would take that out of his game.
Ooh, well, that was reckless. That was really reckless, people. I thought, whoa, what is happening here?
Whoa, he's
Whoa,
back. Yeah.
whoa, whoa. I was ready to go on a tangent and talk about this, but I was like, that is reckless, Tim. That
That
is
is
really,
reckless.
really
I literally clicked the wrong button. It's been like a
Hi, Ryan.
ridiculous and reckless Friday, because everything is freaking new. So everything, I'm not. You like the mouse, the back button is somewhere else. So when I put my hand on it, we went bad. So who? I hope Alan wasn't talking behind my back saying I need to see a shrink or something,
No, no, no.
because I will. So okay, let me ask you then, because obviously
Sorry,
he's a big talking point.
It's just hilarious. Sorry.
Has your opinion on him changed over the
Nunez?
last month and a half, 2 months? 2024, let's go with that. 2.5 months, I'll give you.
See, my opinion on Nunez was that he needed to have, like, he's such a good
run of games. Here it
yeah,
goes.
he needed a run of games, but this was also a season where he had to stand out. Like, he can't afford to have a season like he did last year, if that makes sense. Otherwise, we'd seriously be thinking about the sale conversation. I think he's had an excellent season. Like, if you're going to tell me to rate it, with 10 being the highest, probably be an 8, 8.5. Like, misses, considering all the misses and everything, we're still top of the league. He has how many?
Yeah, but wait. I mean, I don't know. Like, us being top of the league should not affect us grade.
Yeah, but he's a big reason why we're the
Oh,
top of the
okay, I
league.
see that.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
see what
it's
you
a
mean
big
there. Okay.
reason why we're top of the league, and it's a shame that Anan isn't here to check the stats because how many assists and goals does he have now?
I think
Like,
it's 12 and 11 or something like that.
yeah, 12 and 11. Like, it's not exactly numbers that would go like, oh my god, he's freaking world class, but it's numbers that'll make you go like, we have a good player there, and we do with Nunez. I know he's always gonna split opinion, but he's a nice option to have, a great option to have. And whether you see him starting off the bench or no, coming off the bench or starting a game, uh, what he brings, no one does, right? Which is just, as Sparky said, energy 90 minutes. Where he places that energy is a good question, is something that he needs to work on, but he's still 24. Uh, we still have a bit of a project there, but so far I think my opinion of him is that he's borderline first choice front three for me. Like, I could make an argument he should be in the front three, if we're talking about our best lineup. But he still has a little bit to do to be like there immediately without question for me, because I think Jota or Diaz kind of makes it over him.
See, who needs Anan when you have Sparky giving us the stats? So it was 12 and 11. I was just kind of like guessing, to be honest with you. But Saido's here. Good morning. Nunes says not bad so far, but he remains unpredictable. And yes, and I think that's probably. But is that what makes him more dangerous?
Right. That's what I was going to say. That unpredictability, sometimes it works against him. But so far, considering where we are in terms of our season, it's worked good for us. Right? Like, if it didn't work out for us, we'd be lower in the table. We'd probably be out of a few competitions. So that unpredictability is like fire, right? Like, fire can keep you warm or it could burn you. And so far, it's kept us warm, right? In these cold winter months.
Hasn't it burnt here and there though? Like, you're like, ow, ow.
Yeah, it's singed a little bit. It's singed a little bit, but it's burns that you could treat with like just a dab of water or something. It's not something that gives you like first or second degree burns. So far, it's mostly kept us warm, I would say.
Yeah, I guess so. Just as he can speak English now, and if we get Alonso, I can see him as headbutting his English coach and reading his English books. Wait, does he speak Spanish? Is that his natural language?
I believe,
or is it like Portuguese or something like that?
Portuguese.
Now my ignorance of what language Uruguay speaks comes out, because I really don't know. I assume Spanish, but
Spanish, I
be
think.
very wrong. Is it?
I think it's Spanish. Yeah. Anan always calls Thiago Nunez's translator.
That's true. But then again, Thiago speaks bazillion languages because he has time to study new languages in the physio table. So he's probably cranking up another. He's probably learning Turkish as we speak.
Native Spanish per Wikipedia.
Native Spanish. Okay, so that would definitely help. But I don't know if that's like what's helped. Time has helped. Sergi says John the philosopher. Yes, jinxing. Jinxing philosophy as we go. I don't know if that's like time in the system has helped.
It has.
Knowing
training camp as well.
Training camp. I really think it's partially been the fact that maybe he knows he's going to get time. So sometimes that affects a player. Instead of knowing you're going to get 15, you're not going to be yanked right away. Helps. And of course, when you say Nunez, well, Anan isn't around because he's hiding from me for his FIFA experiences. But it's like the Batman signal. So here comes Cozzy to talk more about Nunez.
I just want to tell you, right, I'm sorry. I am late. Kids, she's woke up, thrown up with a fever at about 6:55. And I was like... Yeah, so I deserve all the abuse that you can give me, guys, for being late.
It's all right. You didn't miss the start, Cozzy. If you saw the start, you'd realize that, you're in good stead, man. This was a reckless morning.
Yeah, this was a good Friday to be late, because we were all late.
It was a very reckless morning.
It was beyond reckless. Yeah. It puts reckless in a dark light when we...
And Anan isn't here yet. Jeez. Like, imagine if Anan was here. Like,
So let me ask you, Cozzy, because you have infamously called Nunez a fraud quite a few times. Has your opinion of Nunez changed since I gave John? I'll give you the same time frame. Since, let's say, the beginning of the year, what you thought of him going into 2024, do you feel exactly the same way right now?
Good question. Not exactly, because I think from the left, he's really been good when he's been played on the left. I don't see him as a number 9 for Liverpool down the middle. I don't think that's his position. I'd rather have Jota there and Darwin on the left.
That's what Sider was saying.
You know what I mean? But I feel like, has he impressed me? He has impressed me. He has impressed me a little bit. He has. Listen,
all the presses.
Yes. To be fair to him, and that's full credit. You know, we've missed Salah for a period of time, and he stepped up. He has played, and he's got goals when needed. Do you know what I mean? Is he still missing sitters? Yes. Like, I felt like I think he missed one against Burnley, even late on. He goes 1-on-1. It's a kind of shit.
Yeah.
At Burnley, yeah. And listen, that didn't affect us that day, which is handy. But if that's 0-0, 85th minute,
yeah,
and you have that chance, then we're gonna have a bit of a different conversation, a different mood about him. So, yeah, listen, he's doing well. Let's say he is doing well. I still want him to probably get 20 goals all comps this year. I think he's on 12. Right now, all comps, with the Europa League coming back up as well, and Liverpool playing, like, for example, Southampton at home and stuff. I want him to really get 20, because I think that'll really help him for his confidence to go back. Well, I've got 20 all comps, and as soon as you get 20 all comps as a striker, it's like, okay, well, that's the bare minimum. When you're playing for Liverpool, 20 all comps should be, and you are the goal scorer. Not like a Firmino, that's a bit different, but that should be the bare minimum. The chances that we're going to create for you and the chances that you get 20 all comps should be there. And I really want him to get it, mate. But no, he has impressed me. But I don't think he's a number 9 for Liverpool.
I think for him, you know, we talk about run of games. I think more than like actual run of games, it's been the fact that he knows he's going to get run of games has helped him. Like, he's going to be back out there, like, doing his thing. And is it kind of almost blown out of proportion because of, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was watching some Champions League, which can be very frustrating when the sound goes back and forth. I was doing that multicasting, but I was actually setting up the computer and stuff at the same time. And it's like, which game is this happening? But I looked and, you know, Mbappe missed a one-on-one, almost very similar to the one he missed against Burnley. Like, you just expect that to be on the ground, going to the far corner or something like that, or up over the goalie, slightly chipped, easy finish, right? But he missed it, and that's not always becomes like Mbappe misses sitters. And obviously Mbappe is a better player. So John is what he did in the beginning of missing multiple sitters has now tainted him, where anything he misses, I mean, he's going to miss some stuff, but it kind of gets a bit more overblown than it normally would have been, let's say, if Jota misses it.
A little bit. I think it's rightfully criticized.
Okay, that's fair.
He's missed quite a few, let's be real. And for some games, like, for example, Luton away, where we drew 1-1, where he's missed like 2-3 sitters, I feel like it's warranted criticism, especially since I know Cozzy said he's better at the left, but he plays like a traditional 9. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, if you play like a traditional 9, I'd assume that you finish like a traditional 9, and he doesn't finish like a traditional 9. So I think the criticism is rightfully there. Mbappe has the fact that he scored 40, 50 in all comps in previous seasons behind him. Nunez has the reputation of missing quite a few sitters, especially during his first season. So to answer your question, I think it's rightfully.
I'm following on that. John makes the best point there, right? You earn credit. You get credit in the bank. Salah misses sitters.
Yeah, he does.
Oh yeah,
he does.
But Salah will get you 30. So you've earned your credit. You build credit up. Nunez hasn't built no credit up with Liverpool yet in terms of missing chances. Where you go, well, it's okay because he's going to get me 25, 30 all comps. And do you know what I mean? So that's not. So you earn that right to miss. Do you know what I mean? So that's the problem with Darwin. He hasn't built credit up for the fans, and he hasn't built credit up with frustration.
Yeah, that bad starts has kind of like hurt him, and I think puts him behind the 8 ball. I mean, here's the thing, though. Having said that, I know everybody misses, but like there are moments in the game where a player is in a situation and you expect a certain outcome. Yeah. Right. So there are a couple of goals that Jota has scored.
Yeah.
And he's in that situation, like he's gonna finish that. Like your expectation in your mind, you expect that when he shoots, you expect that ball in the corner, you expect the net to move. I don't ever get that feeling with Nunez. That could be fair. That could be because of his misses. That could be my paranoia. I don't know how you guys feel about that. But when he's 1v1, if it's Mo, my expectation is that he's going to finish. Does he finish all of them? No. Like Cozzy says, he misses a bunch. But my expectation when he's going is I'm up. I'm thinking this is a goal. With Nunez,
You're like-
I'm more like
You're like on your chair like this. Yeah.
yeah, it's like what's gonna happen? Like I have no idea because he's unpredictable in a bad way when it comes to that.
That's what I was saying. The unpredictability is a fire. It can burn you or it can keep you warm. Right?
You missed it. He was
Yeah.
on philosophy before you
When
came on,
when
Cozzy.
you see comments saying I don't mind all the misses, wait till he misses a big one in the cup final next week on the 88th minute and 0-0. And see if you mind the misses.
Don't manifest that, Cozzy, please.
But this is stuff that can happen. This is what I'm saying.
I
look at that Arsenal one, mate, and no one's really spoke about it, right? When he does an unbelievable piece of skill and then just blazing up the bar from 6 yards out. He was a bit in the corner and he could have just played across the box.
Yes.
Liverpool 1-1 at that point in a massive, massive football match. He plays across the box of the striker. We go 2-1 up. Liverpool win the game. I will argue with anyone. So you can say you don't mind the misses, but it will cost you more points if he continues to do what he does. I know what people are saying. He gets in these positions, so eventually the net will ripple. That is a fact. Eventually. It's been 18 months to 2 years, guys. And the net is rippling a little bit more. Oh, still, when you were playing for Liverpool and the chances that you will create, he will be disappointed if he doesn't get 20 all comps. To get 8 more for the end of the season, he'll be very, very disappointed in himself, I think.
Cozzy, for the sake of conversation, I gave Nunez's season so far an 8 out of 10. What would you give it?
I want to be John's student, is all I gotta say.
Yeah, man.
That's how he's grading. Yeah, it was just like sign me up for your next class, bro.
Well, before you go, Cozzy, I think he's improved quite a bit from last year. It's not quite the finished product, but I like what I'm seeing outside of
a scale,
right outside of a statistic. Like from a statistical standpoint, it can be better. From the eye test, it can be better. It can still be improved. But I liked what I've seen.
So what would you give Salah then?
9.5.
Because I think Salah's like more of an 8, and I think Nunez is more of a 6. But I think Salah's got circumstances where he'll probably still finish top goal scorer if depending on Haaland's situation, or minimum of a second. I think 6.5. I don't think he's been. I think he's been better. Most definitely, I think he's been better. He's been sent off less, which is nice. Like he didn't get sent off on his debut. For headbutting someone. That helps.
I'm with Ryan on this one. I give a solid 7.
Yeah, that's why I said 6.5. I was kind of on the same.
And not from the eye test, but more from the productivity, like the end result, like the assists and goals and stuff. Eye test, probably is more 6.5. But I think his work rates and obviously the productivity is the big thing.
So my thing for him, right? And
what is with the shade? What is with the disrespect?
Right? I'll tie up this new.
What is with the disrespect here?
And I will get to grab him bit because I think it's harsh, right? I really do.
It is very harsh. Jesus Christ.
The Nunes thing, the stats do help him. You know what I'm saying? The stats help him a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, I want him to score the big goals. I want him to score the first goal in games. Do you know what I mean? He scored the third last week. And listen, it was nice to tie the game off and fine. The game's won. 2-1, Liverpool are winning the game. I want him to score. Do you like the Newcastle game? I know we always talk about it, but they were big goals. I want him to score those type of goals. I want him to go when Salah always opens to scoring in games, or he gets an equaliser. They are the big goals, not the third and the fourth and the fifth. It's the first goal in a game. For example, Tim, you brought up Mbappe, perfect. Mbappe misses a sitter. He scored the first goal.
Yeah.
Takes the lead. We go 1-0. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, hopefully he'll get that moment. I'm sure he will.
See, the only thing that worries me about it is like we talk about the Newcastle game. Look at most of his goals that he scored. It's been on the counter, and it hasn't been these games where we like dominate possession. You know what I mean? I feel like when I think of Nunez and his goals, it's always like we're countering, he's on the run, either he makes an assist or like he scores. And that's what in some ways worries me, because it's not like we're a counter-attacking team in most cases. We have the ball more in most cases. But yeah, I mean, like I wouldn't go that high on Salah this season. Obviously, it's partially because he's been gone for quite some time now. But not only that, I think he's set the bar so high. Like we've seen his 9.5, 10 seasons. So it's hard for me to give him that high, I think. But productivity-wise, yeah, I mean, him coming back is going to be huge.
So excited.
Going back to going back to Nunez and Gravenberg. Poor Gravenberg.
Sparky, what have I done to you, mate? Like, I try to be nice to everyone. Listen, not everyone's gonna agree with my takes, but come on, that was uncalled for. That was uncalled for.
The Gravenberg thing, right, is interesting. I think. Well, me and Tim, I think we're in the same boat. I think John, you are. He needs time.
He needs time.
The lad needs time. Like, give the kid a break, man. I think he's been great this year, no. But I think he's shown enough where you go, well, there's something there. There's something there which we can be really beneficial for Liverpool. Then yes, most definitely. Can he be a great option for Liverpool? Yeah, 100%. But the kid has barely kicked the football last year at Bayern Munich. He barely kicked the football in anger. And he's going to get his minutes. He's going to get his game time and stuff like that. And he's struggling. But he's a fucking kid. He's a kid and he's struggling. So we should be getting behind the kid and give him some support. I'm sure the players are. I'm sure the manager is. Do you know what I mean? And I believe in his ability. But let's say right now, he's going to be playing a part towards the end of the season. There's going to be minutes for him, i.e. the Europa League and stuff. There's definitely going to be minutes for him. I would start him with Southampton at all next week. I'd start him. It's a championship side. I know they're very good in the championship.
Yeah, definitely.
But that Southampton side, Russell Martin's built them. They're a very possession-based side. They love to play. They love to get the ball down and play football. They're flying in the championship. That might play into his hands, but he's going to get loads of the ball, and there's going to be loads of spaces for him and get confidence that way. So, as much as he's been shite, and he has been, I think there's enough ability there for when we look and go, yeah, you're going to be a player.
It's been 40 minutes, and this is when the show usually goes downhill. And here we go.
Ryan.
Ryan
understood the assignment.
I agree with Brian. Here's the thing. I think he looks a lot older, so people don't realize how young he is. You know, like we were talking about Harvey earlier and what Klopp talked about and like said about him. I think isn't Harvey 21 as well? Is he 20?
20, I think.
Yeah, somewhere around there, right? So they're about the same age, but I don't think we view it as that. It's just because probably Gravenberg looks a lot older or carries himself a lot older. I don't know. Or maybe because of the size, he looks like he's older or whatever. But he's a young kid. And let's face it, this is a really, really good team that he came into. And that's why I think unless you're like a superstar, it's going to take you time to kind of work yourself in.
It also dents his confidence a little bit, seeing McAllister and Szoboszlai and even Endo adjust so quickly while he's here just struggling. You know, the lack of...
that's where the age comes in too. Not that Szoboszlai is like old or anything like that, but he's still like 23, 24 or something like that. He captains his national team and stuff like that. But I agree with what you're saying. Like Endo struggled in the beginning, but with his experience, it feels like he's able to... Maybe has built-in confidence. Like, I've been there, done that. It's going to come back. Like, I just have to adjust kind of thing. Whereas, like you're saying, John Gravenberg might be like, is this above my head and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, nobody right now. Nobody right now. And I don't know, like, we don't know the future of this midfield. But go ahead, Cozzy.
Yeah, but I mean, we say this, we'll be dropping and stuff. Okay, fair argument. He plays one game last year for fucking Bayern Munich. He comes in the door late, doesn't have a pre-season at all with Liverpool, so the manager can actually mould him into something. He's shown flashes, hasn't he, of like, okay, there's something there. This thing, okay, yeah, he's not going to start, but I'd start him with Southampton at home all day. Like, that's why. You know what I mean? And I wanted to do a full 90 as well and go out there. By the way, I made a comment on the last podcast in the Arsenal game, or was the Burnley game, that he didn't get on, but he felt sick, didn't he? He had flu. Like, the manager said that. In the warm-up, he didn't feel right because of the bug that was going around. That's why he never got on against Burnley. That's why he never got on. Because I made a comment going, why is Clark getting on over him and stuff like that? Well, that was the reason.
Yeah.
So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. But, I mean, listen, he's a fucking kid. He's 21 years of age. He's 22 in May. It's nothing. And by the way, when he was like fucking 18, he was fucking playing for Bayern Munich, winning leagues and stuff, and playing, Ajax. And starting games for them and being their best player at 18, 19.
Yeah.
Playing in the Champions League and stuff. So there's ability there, man. Let's give the kid a bit of a break. That's all I'm saying. I
disagree with this just based on what you said. I don't think you can have low IQ and be a star in Ajax, go to Bayern. You do not
come through Ajax's academy with a low IQ in football.
Yeah, I don't think so. You don't get out of there. But this goes back to, I mean, I agree with what Brian is saying. In terms of the concern I have, comes back to this, because I feel like if Klopp was around, this is the guy he wanted. I mean, we talked about it earlier in the year. Yeah. This is like kind of like his kind of guy, and this is the guy that he's going to make a star. with Klopp not being there for the long term, it's going to be interesting to see what the new guy coming in says. And I don't know if he's going to say, I don't have time to make this guy a star. Either you do this or you're out. Or maybe he's going to have a system that suits him better.
But there's a part of this where the new manager could be one of the best midfielders of the last 25 years. That could be his new manager. And they go, here's what you've got to do, kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and also that team in that way, the way that team play could benefit Gravenberch, the Leverkusen team, could benefit Gravenberch massively. And he goes, he's a young kid, I can get my arm around him, because that Bayer Leverkusen team's a bit young. I know he brought Xhaka in just to do bits and bobs for him with a bit of experience. So maybe that could actually benefit him. And Alonso goes, don't worry about this kid, I've got you for here, here, and here kind of thing. So it's interesting, mate. Super interesting, but I think he's going to be a play for Liverpool. I'll give him 18 months.
This part, I feel like, is more about not being here the entire time. That's more like, not knowing where people are going to be. And more importantly, where people want the ball, right? Like, as you play with people, that's like the biggest thing. You can have a team that's slightly better, and then you play against them with lower level people, and you're like, but you played together before. And it's always a huge advantage, because I know, like, let's say Cozzy wants the ball in front of him, not to his feet, or this guy wants the ball here, or this guy would rather, like, he's going to see your run and stuff like that. I think that's all comes with, training camp, playing more and stuff like that, and goes back to the run of games.
I just love how Gravenberch didn't play a single second last weekend, and he's just here getting absolutely destroyed by the chat. Like, as Cozzy said, guys, come on, just leave the kid alone. Like,
there's a part over here as well with the Luton game on Wednesday. He might start.
Right, exactly.
I can see that.
We've got a cup final Saturday, and he might go, you know what, Curtis, you're not going again. I'm going to get you against Chelsea, and you're going to play. So there's a part of this as well.
This is one thing I know, like Saidu, I know he's in the audience, has said in the past, and I do agree with that. I don't agree with a lot of what Saidu says, but in terms of being on the left suits him a lot better. I think we talked about the right-hand side, right? The right side of this team, especially when Trent is there, is a lot more demanding in terms of what midfield is going to do. And I think he's better on the left-hand side.
So I'm going to ask you a question, like, guys, do you feel like he's trying to impress too much?
Well, that's another thing. I think he's the kind of guy, and that goes back to age, right? He gets 10 minutes. He's like, and go. Let's see what you can do in 10 minutes, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's a big part as to why he's trying to dribble into three people and force the action. He's trying to impress. He's trying to show Klopp that, hey, I deserve a place here over as much as Jones. So I think that plays a part. Yeah,
but I think he could learn off Jones, because Jones is a bit like
that. Yeah, he can.
Like 2 years ago, Jones was like that. He was trying to impress.
Right. We were talking. Yeah, we were talking about it a few shows ago, Cozzy. Like, Jones is the ceiling. So Gravenberch should look at that and say, I was this guy was me a few years back. Like, this is who I should aspire to be. So it's not even a question. It's right there in front of him.
Yeah, and I would argue that if they had the same mentality and the play style, I'd probably Gravenberch's ceiling is higher than Jones. Jones is a guy that, as skilled as he is, he just knows the system and how to play and what is expected. He gives you what is expected and demanded in the system. I'm sure Sparky doesn't agree, but and that's basically like the biggest thing. Yeah. I wonder, I don't know if Gravenberch sees it like how you're saying it, John. Like, I know Gravenberch sits and says, look at Jones, man. I should do what Jones does. I don't know if he feels that way.
I don't think it's like what Jones does. I think it's like, but if I get my head down and learn the system that I've got a part to play, I think it's more that. Do you know what I mean? Like, we might want him to do more of a Szoboszlai role and pushing on a bit more, and then Jones keeping it easy, kind of thing. So there's a balance there, but I think there's definitely a position for him. I was actually watching another podcast this morning when I woke up. It was the Stick to Football one, and they were talking about resting players in the Champions League group now, because the Champions League groups are average. The groups, he said, that they don't, and he said you actually start to see City resting players in the Champions League group for the first 6 games of the group, because they know they're going to get out of it and finish top anyway. And then, so when you look at Gravenberch again, if Liverpool are going to be in the Champions League next year, you can go, well, there's 6 games. Yeah. You've got, you know what I mean? And then you've got the cup games as well. I can probably see him starting 2 games at the next 4, which is Luton and Southampton. I can probably see him doing that, which sounds crazy, but it could happen.
Yeah, I think this time next year we're like, oh man, like he came around big time. I really think so. Or maybe it's wishful thinking, but I really think
it's going to be interesting
moving forward. Yeah. And like Cozzy says, it might still be this season too that we're like, but I feel like it's going to be that. Like, he's going to come in one game in the 70th minute and, save a game, change a game or whatever. but then he's going to start 2 games later and is going to stink up the place. So we're going to get excited. I think it's going to be a lot of up and downs the rest of the season. But next season is, I mean, here's the thing that I don't like is, people who are Nunez, and giving him the run of games and 85 chances gives this kid only 5 chances.
Yeah, I was about to go on that, Tim. Like, if you guys followed this logic, we would have sold Curtis Jones a few years ago immediately.
Yeah.
And right now, he is arguably our first choice midfielder. He has to be there at all times. So let's give this kid a chance, people.
Yeah, people. I mean, that's what we were talking about at the time. We were like, hey, like cash in. He's never going to be that good. He's never going to play the system because that's how it looked like. And he changed himself. It's not like we've changed our minds. I think Jones has changed how he's played, and he's changed our minds.
I remember our Discord channel, guys, when he started them last March in a game, and everyone was going ape shit that he started Curtis Jones, and I was like, just give him the last 10 games. They mean nothing. United to get in top 4. Yeah. Just give him and he started the last 10, and he was our best player for the last 10 games. And they're like, well, let's give the kid a run of games and see what he gets on. Gravenberch might not get that, probably not this season, but next season he might get those run of games. Who knows? But again, I think we've all seen enough where we go, there's a player there. We just got to get it out of him.
I mean, tomorrow is the Krakow Dons, but I'm sure we'll be online for a short period as a rematch. So yeah, set your alarms.
Fucking hell.
4:30 kick off for Brentford away. Fuck me.
Let's get some early predictions. Give me a starting 11 and a final Cozzy. Let's start with you.
I don't know. I don't. He said Ali's back, which is massive, didn't he?
So it looks like Ali, I would think Konate, Van Dijk, we can all agree on.
He has the Luton game to think about. I know he says he doesn't think about it, but he definitely does. And he has the Luton game to kind of think about. I think I do Ibu in this. I drop him for Luton, then play him against Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way I would go. So I would do Konate for this, but I wouldn't play him against Luton. I'd give him a full week off.
Kwanzaa against Luton.
And then maybe Kwanzaa or even Joe Gomez who's back playing centre-half alongside someone. He's got a big question at left-back, I think. Now Robertson is back, kind of fit, but I think the manager shit himself a bit because of the Trent getting the knockback from his injury and the Szoboszlai getting a knockback. I don't know if you've seen the press conference. The manager does talk about knockbacks for like 10 minutes because you can see it's affecting the manager and the manager's thinking about it. So I don't know if he does Costas left back for the game and go to Robertson. I know what you're saying. I know, but the manager doesn't think like that, does he? That's how
it's not. I mean, the thing with Robertson is it's not a muscle injury like the other guys.
Correct. But I also think as well, no football, then intense football can be... 3 months of no football, bang, you're in an intense football match. It can be a bit of a thing. I think if Rico Henry was fit, he might not do Robertson because he bombs on all day. I am actually a big fan of Rico Henry. I'm gutted he's out for the season. So he might do Costas. I think he does Bradley right back. I don't think Bradley's done anything, of course, wrong, which we know. Midfield's interesting. Super, super interesting with the 2 games coming up this week. Endo probably has to play, and then you probably do McAllister again, and maybe Jones again, and just go with it again.
I think so, yeah.
To do Elliott now and go to McAllister, you're getting your rest now, but you're doing the next 2 against Luton and Chelsea.
No, I rest McAllister against Luton, man. He starts against Brentford.
So who'd you do then if you're doing this? Because I don't think it's as easy as picking 11 because of the games. Who'd you do against Luton then? What's your midfield for Brentford and then Luton?
I would rather probably put Elliott against Luton at home than away at Brentford.
So you do Elliott? Would you do Endo against Luton, even though you got a cup final on the weekend? So you do McAllister in the 6?
Probably start with Endo, but then do like half him at 60, then put McAllister in for the last 30 against Luton.
In the 6. So you're doing Elliott, and who's the other midfielder? Are you doing Jones?
Gravenberch, probably.
So your starting midfield then is going to be Endo, Elliott, and Gravenberch against Luton, you think?
Yes, for me.
Interesting.
That's scary. I double up probably.
Well, we're at home though.
We are home with the Zell.
Yeah.
But to be fair though, Luton can't stop scoring goals in the last.
Yeah, that's the only concern I have.
Those can score goals.
That shaky of a defensive midfield. That is
scored 4 against Newcastle, man. They score, you know what I mean, away from home. That's what I'm saying. It's interesting, isn't it? I think that's why the manager's not. I don't think it's as easy as pick the next game. There's a cup final. And Liverpool have to win a trophy, and the manager would love to win a trophy in his last season.
Well, Klopp loves to do the 60-30 kind of deal, so it's.
I think really, I don't know if you roll the dice and if the Luton game goes well, you can take him out. I don't see this Brentford game going easy where you can take people out early.
I think he might do Gakpo in one of them in midfield.
That's possible.
That's a good show.
Because he has his 5 strikers back, including Gakpo, because Salah's back. So he has, if the first time in months, he has 5 strikers again. So he might do his Gakpo midfield in one game. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I just don't think it's easier. I'm not a big fan. I want a bit more height in this team. Brentford are really good in set pieces.
Yes.
And they're really good at changing the same. So that's where I'm not saying let's start Gravenberch, but maybe he does a Gakpo. He's 6'4", just for set pieces alone, and say I'm going to play in midfield with a Jones and an Endo.
It doesn't worry you, Cozzy, that that's not his natural position.
Yeah.
Because obviously Brentford are really good counter-attacking. You need good positional sense in the midfield.
Yeah, I feel like if Liverpool are going to go there and get 65-70% of the ball, and I get what you're saying on the counter can kill it, but Gakpo's super quick. I think he's just setting one of the records as well. He's quick as well. Yeah. But I want a bit of height. I'd love Szoboszlai to be fit for his height alone, just for set pieces, because he's just a unit of a man kind of thing. So that's why I don't know. I'm really up the wall with it. Would you do Salah straight away?
No. For Brentford, no.
So you just put him on for 30?
Off the bench, yeah.
He's had a week's full training by the sounds of it.
Off the bench, Cozzy. Considering what happened to Szoboszlai and Trent, I don't want to.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Who are you doing on the right then?
Probably Jota or
Diaz.
Yeah, Diaz. Yeah.
Yeah, I stick with the same. Honestly, I think I pretty much stick with the same 11. Obviously, Trent isn't there, so I put Gomez there, and I know Ron was saying Gomez on left, Bradley on side, on right. I was putting Gomez there just because of the set piece thing and another basically center back. You're pretty much essentially defending all set pieces with 3 center backs.
Like that. But also, I think if you're going to do this way again, it's difficult because it depending on the right. I want Bradley going forward on the right like a proper right back.
Yeah.
But that's another part as well. Liverpool's still got to win the game. As much as we can worry about Brentford, we've got to win the game. So we still got to get a bit of attacking impetus there. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's as clear cut as we think, this game. No. This game is a super interesting one for the manager. Do you know what I mean? And I think that might play into his thinking. We do have a cup final, I keep saying it. I know the manager doesn't like to say that, but he definitely is thinking about the cup final. Liverpool want to win it.
Yeah, he kept saying, I'm not even thinking about that now, but you got to play it. I'm sure in his mind he plays it like chess, but he's not going to give
let's just agree then right now. We're doing it for the midfield. Forget the defense for the set. We're doing Endo. We're doing Jones. And we're doing McAllister, you think?
Yeah. Best midfield for this game, Cozzy. Easily.
Okay. I think so. Yeah, you put your strongest lineup here, and more than likely that's your starting lineup against Chelsea as well.
There's an argument, though, of course, with Elliott, but he's demanding a start somewhere because he's playing that well. He demands a start.
I don't know, the press. We were talking about that earlier, in the press conference. The way he worded that, I take that as he's still a sub as of now.
Super sub, yeah.
But he can play against maybe that's what I would give him the start against Luton maybe.
So we're going to do Diaz on the right. Well, you'll probably do Jota on the right, Diaz on the left, and Darwin down the middle. That's what we think. But I think he's going to start Salah. I think he does Salah now. I think he does Salah.
I hope not, because we're talking about being careful. I just hope because he's a muscle injury, so I rather play safe. Okay, early predictions before we head out over here. John,
it's going to be a dog of a game, isn't it?
Yeah, this is going to be rough. I'm worried about this one.
So am I.
Tough 2-1 win.
Yeah. I like that.
I'll take it. It's going to be painful, but
yeah,
I would kill for a Timushin special.
Oh man, 3-2 Liverpool. I think we'll concede. I think we'll be all over the place a little bit. I think if Gomez, depending who starts right back or left back. This is the mad part. We have no idea out of 7 positions who's going to start.
Yeah,
the ones we can guarantee is Ali and Virgil, and probably Darwin and Jota. Maybe they're the 4 that we can guarantee. The rest are all
That also makes it hard for Brentford too, though. To be honest.
Good call.
Because you don't know what the hell you're going to face.
I think they've got Wisser back, haven't they, from AFCON? I think Wisser's back now.
All the AFCON. Because Klopp was mentioning that they got their players back as well.
But I think This
is 1-0. I think I went with a crazy 4-2 or something like that.
Yeah. I see a weird game as well.
I'll stick with that. I don't see us shutting them out. I hate to say it, but I just don't see it. Depends on how we play. That strong midfield, but it's not going to be the game. I don't think it's going to be like a set piece and stuff like that is where we're going to give up a goal is my
I'll snap your hand off right now for 1-0 over 4-1. Genuinely, I know that sounds mad, but I'll snap your hand off for 1-0. I just want to keep a clean sheet, be a dog, because I think mentally for City playing later, and I know it's Chelsea, whatever, but they're playing later in the day to go, fucking hell, look at Liverpool there being battered but still 1-0. Do you know, that sounds a bit weird? But I just think, because I'm a big narrative guy in football, I always think there's a narrative somewhere. And I always think that could play into someone's mind. Like Chelsea are quite good away from home. I know we battered them, but they went to Villa and won last week. Do you know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
not many do. So Chelsea are quite good away from home, and Chelsea have got a lot of young lads. Cole Palmer going back to City, and they had a bit of a falling out. And I've got a narrative in my head that
Wouldn't the narrative more be like, man? I mean, because when I see City win games barely, John, my narrative is they're not as good. These guys are going to drop points. Whereas if we go over there and hammer them 4-1,
yeah, might set the precedent, maybe. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. It's just unlike Cozzy, I don't really have a narrative kind of view. I just gotta get the result, man. Like,
I love a narrative in football.
Yeah.
That's why it kills me. I look at Ivan Toney go, oh, he's a Liverpool fan, for fuck's sake. It's like that kind of stuff. John Walters used to always correct my narrative because he's an Everton fan and scored all the time against us. I'm like, you're killing me in my narrative thinking. Cole Palmer to get the winner. Come on. Let's have it.
Well, we'll be back tomorrow. Christ, sleepy Saturday morning is right. I hope that's another thing. The early game and everything is kind of scary. There's a lot to be worried about this game. Just fits my narrative. Talking about narratives, it fits my worrying narrative. But yeah, it's gonna be a
One
tough
day.
one. It would be a huge 3 points. Go ahead, John.
One day, my Gravenberch narrative is gonna be satisfied. One day. One day.
The Joe Gomez goal, the Gravenberch start.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if it's gonna be at Liverpool, but one day Gravenberch narrative is gonna come through.
Like 34 playing in the
Comes
fucking
in
MLS.
against City in the 80th and scores the winning goal.
Imagine that, bro. I would be.
I know Cole Palmer's going to score next week on Saturday tomorrow. He's going to score against City. It might get 5-1. They might lose 5-1, but he's going to score.
I think so too. That's a good game. Actually, we might do like a live watch along for that one on afterwards as well. But yep, stay tuned to AmericanScouser. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that kind of good stuff. Check out the Patreon. That stuff is going to be starting very soon over here. The special content for that, and then check out the sites and get your gear as well.
That's a lovely cap.
That is a lovely cap.
Mine's on the way, yeah.
Where can I get one of those caps to mention?
You can get it. I'll post the link over here in the Jayla Fashions, the American Scouser collection, right there. It is actually. I actually saw Gordo's, and I was like, yeah, gotta get me one of those too, I guess. So that's the way that went down. So well, have an excellent Friday, everybody. We'll see you guys bright. Go to bed early because we'll see you guys bright.
Don't be reckless.
Don't be reckless. Be on time. Don't be late. Okay, that's the moral of the day for all of us here. Except John. To be fair, John was on time. We made him late.
Sorry, John.
Have a great Friday.
Jeez, no worries.
Take care.